The purpose of this video is to walk you through a standard Yahoo Auction Japan listing to let you know what things to look for and any important information I can give you before making any bids. This is how the listing looks in native Japanese, but most of you will be using an online translation service, something like Biblefish or Google Translate. This is the same listing that's been translated into English, and this is what most of you will be looking at. Uh, as with Yahoo Auctions or eBay or any auction site, the same common sense applies. You just have to know what it is that you're buying. You have to check out the seller. You have to know when the listing ends, the type of listing, etc. The first place to look would be the center portion here. This just tells you what the price is. There are 9 hours remaining. There are 0 bids. Yahoo uses an icon with a gavel to let you know that it's an auction. So you're going to have to place a bid, and hopefully you'll be the high winner. You'll see other icons such as this one. This is a shopping cart. That means it's a buy it now listing. So if you place a bid for 1900 yen, you're actually going to be buying the auction. And some listings have both. It has the auction gavel and it has the shopping cart, so you can place a bid for 3000 yen, or you can just use buy it now for 4000 yen. There are 10 items remaining. Again, this will actually be translated into English whenever you're looking at it. But that's how the standard Yahoo listing looks in the beginning. So you want to check out the type of listing it is. You also want to check on the right and see the seller. The seller's name, this is his appraisal rating, 221. You always want to check out his feedback. So click on the details of appraisal link. The feedback system is very easy to understand. They use a sun for positive feedback. They use a storm cloud for negative. So he has 221 positive feedbacks and he has 1 negative feedback. His total rating is 221. If you really want to get specific, you can look on the right hand side and it breaks it down into his feedback as a buyer at top, feedback as a seller at bottom. And it also shows you in terms of the last week, 4 weeks, and 24 weeks. So he seems like a pretty safe buyer. I don't think I would have any problems buying from him. If you want to click on his negative feedback, you can click on this link here. Maybe just to make sure the item you're buying wasn't a previous negative or something of that nature. So now you know what type of listing it is. You know about the seller. The third part you should look at will be the pictures. And you're going to rely on the pictures a lot more because sometimes the translation of the description isn't really all that great. So Yahoo allows for 3 different pictures in their auctions, so look at them carefully. Sellers don't really know how to link in pictures to descriptions yet, so more often than not you're just going to see 1 to 3 pictures. After you've looked at the pictures comes the description, and this is where things get a little strange because the translation services sometimes give you some pretty cryptic English that you have to figure out. But the good news is that you'll start to see the same kind of strange English phrases over and over again as you translate more and more listings, and you'll start to learn what each of those phrases means, and you'll start to become a little bit more comfortable with it. Anything in quotes like this just means that it couldn't translate it. It's not really important. Very important is substance is the starting verification being completed. If you see things like starting verification being completed, that means it's been tested and it's in good working order. He's saying he has 3 pieces of software attached to it. He says handling as medieval times. Medieval times just means it's a used item. Payment, if you're using my proxy service or another proxy service, you'll never have to worry about payment. Any payment method is going to be acceptable. So for this auction, he looks like he's a pretty good buyer, or he's a pretty good seller. You can see pictures of what it is that you're buying. He says that it's been tested and it's in good working order. So I wouldn't be too concerned about buying from him. Last area is shipping. And some sellers put a lot of shipping information, some sellers put no shipping information, and some sellers will describe shipping in a way that you won't be able to understand. If you're buying from me, you'll know where I live. You can take a look at a list like this and you'll understand what the shipping price is going to be from the seller to me. If you're using a proxy service, that's the cost that you'll have to pay. This is a good example of a good auction, but a lot of times sellers won't put a very easily understandable list like this, And if you're going to be bidding on Yahoo, you're just going to have to accept the fact that sometimes you're not going to be able to understand everything about shipping or descriptions or etc. So this is a good example of a pretty easy to understand auction. Sometimes you get auctions like this one, which just have massive and massive and massive amounts of Japanese. Sometimes the translation service can't even handle it. Yahoo is able to handle this one. If it's something you really want, again, it's an auction, 2 hours left. You can check out the seller if you want to see what his ratings are. Check out the pictures. And if you really want to spend the time, you just have to hunt through all of this English and try to figure out the information that you need to know. He's just saying thank you for viewing. It's a used item. It includes a memory card. Junk treatment, which is not operational verifying. That means he has not tested it. So that's all that you really need to know about this one. He also gives information about there being marks and scars and it's a dirty system and etc. A lot of sellers, especially store sellers, are starting to add in a lot of information talking about you have to communicate within a certain amount of time, you have to make payment within a certain amount of time. A lot of listings on Yahoo are starting to get longer and longer and longer, but in reality you could ignore about 90% of this. You just need to know that it works. If there's anything strange about it, if you're using a proxy service, like I said, they're going to be handling everything for you in terms of payment and shipping, so you don't need to understand anything about that. But I would mostly just check out his feedback, see if he's a seller that you're comfortable buying from, and then go ahead and bid if you are. But you're taking the risk that it might be a junk system. And one more quick listing. It's an auction. There's about 2 hours left. The price is 1,000 yen. Seller's relatively new. Oops, that's the Japanese page. Seller's relatively new. He has 34 feedbacks. We'll check it out real quick. So he has 34 positive, 0 negative, so he's probably pretty safe. Scrolling down is giving you pictures of the items so you can see what it looks like. And his description is somewhat reasonable. He says that they're all used item. Like there's no battery for the VMU, which is the memory unit. Something you should understand is this phrase, the defect item. That means not included. So if you see something that says instructions are the defect item or power cable defect item, that means that is not included. He also says there's no box and no instruction manual, etc., etc. And here's the important part. In addition, during operation verifying as for problem which is conspicuous was not. That means it's in good working order. I know it sounds a bit strange, but again, as you translate more and more of these auctions, it'll start to become a little bit more easy for you to understand. For shipping, he has a couple of different shipping services that you can use. These are just 2 different shipping companies, but again, if you're using my service, you'll know where I live. I just use whichever one's cheaper. They're both pretty good shipping companies, so you shouldn't have any real problems there. Payment method, again, I'll be handling that, or your proxy will be handling that, so you shouldn't have any problems there either. So it's just something that's going to take time. Just make sure you understand what the format is. Make sure you know if the seller is good. Take a close look at the pictures. And over time, you'll start to learn more about how to translate a lot of this cryptic English here. But if you'd like to know more about Yahoo auctions, you can go to my website, which is yahoojapanauctions.com. And I have a lot of articles written about Yahoo auctions. And I also have my own proxy bidding service if you're interested in buying auctions from Yahoo Japan. Thanks.